stupid.
So it's 6 in the evening and I'm going to paint now. मैंने पिछले महीने एक पेंटिंग शुरू करी थी and I didn't complete it. मैंने फर्स्ट लेयर कर दी थी तो अब मुझे उसके ऊपर पेंट करना है और I'll show you, okay. But the first layer is always shitty, so don't judge me for that. Hi, so if you consider yourself a creative person or know someone who is creative, you would know that there is a whole discussion in your head that actually leads to creative ideas and creating things. So, this whole discussion requires consuming things before that. And you could have original ideas, but they would still have some root or some fragment of something else that you've consumed. So I wanted to talk about originality बहुत पहले से. So ideas don't get materialized from out of thin air. It comes from the things you consume, and the fresher the ideas you consume, the more fresh your art is going to be. So basically the whole space of creators where anyone creates anything is an echo chamber of its own. Yeah, obviously the things that are more niche are more hidden because they are underrated, obviously. So the imitations of those are also underrated. So when people say that you need to accept yourself to let go of the imposter syndrome, it's not that simple, right? Because if it was that simple, why would you go out of your way to find new identities? Yeah, so you go out of your way to do something special, but like, how can you complete it? Because you've set such unrealistic expectations, how are you going to complete it? You won't. So there is this thing called perfectionism, and it is a bitch. I don't know where this coincidence comes from, but a lot of artists that I look up to or admire are also very much unsatisfied with who they are or what they do. Now, this imposter syndrome that we have, it also brings an addiction of reinventing things. That just means you keep finding something original of yours and you stamp it, and then you have very high expectations for it that it's going to be perfect. So many reinventions that you do, that just brings back the scarcity of originality that we have. And it's not like I don't like the process. I love it. I love the process more than the validation that comes later. And because the other one involves people, and I do enjoy some things alone more than the involvement of people in it. So one thing is that I really do not want to be the sequel of anything or any person or any art. This is a fear. Okay, this might have a good articulation and this might stir up a lot of expressions and emotions, but what is the point? This is where an artist that I really admire comes in.
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
And I really appreciate his work. And also, like, him as a person. I watched all of his interviews and every video I could find on him. Also, watching his interviews is something. I'm going to link the interview in the end of the video. I would suggest that you watch it. I have watched a lot of them, but there is this one interview. The questions are ridiculous, and you can see it in the guy's face that how fed up of the shit he is. So whenever I feel held back because of the unrealistic expectations I'm putting on any project, or feeling the lack of originality, what I do is I check out his work and I watch his interviews, and it just makes me feel better. It makes me feel like it does not matter where it came from, as long as it's not just clear plagiarism. You are making something, and it takes a brain to do that too, and it is okay for your expressions to have been influenced by other things too, because that is how everything works. So one of his interviews that made me feel really good about learning from other sources was this one.
Where do the words come from?
Real life books to television.
Yeah, and you just skim them and start including
No, I mean, when I'm working, I hear them, and I just throw them down.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean things like Punic Wars. I remember that was in one of your.
Oh, that was from a guidebook on Roman history.
And you had been reading it and.
Well, it wasn't that long, that actual history part of it. It's like, history of Rome in 5 pages,
Yeah. And so you snatched a few words from it.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
snatch them,
They caught your.
They caught my eye, and I took them. Do some anime stuff.
And
And then I went out and bought some books that were about anatomy.
and then you started imitating.
Well, not really imitating, because, but I use them as a source material.
So why'd you want to do anatomy stuff?
Because I felt like it.
Unless you felt like it? Or?
Also, watching these interviews is a bit like watching the creative part of my head talk to the imposter syndrome that I have, that is always questioning and trying to mock it for imitation. Meanwhile, it is just a source that they have taken.